Welcome to the Deep Dive. You've shared a stack of sources with us, and our mission is simple. Jump in, extract the absolute coolest, most important nuggets, and give you the shortcut to being seriously well-informed.
Yeah, we try to add just enough weirdness and wonder to keep things interesting. We're here to be your guides through the material, helping you cut through the noise, find the insights that really matter.
And for this deep dive, we're taking a step back in time. You've given us a collection of stories from the late 19th century specifically, Tales of Terror by Dick Donovan.
Published by Chatto and Windus in 1899.
Exactly, a turn-of-the-century collection. And it definitely promised chills, lots of mystery, crime, the uncanny.
It really leans into that late Victorian Gothic feel, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And the sources you provided give us these fascinating glimpses into several of the tales. So our mission today.
To really dig into these snippets, I suppose, pinpoint what makes the horror tick in Donovan's writing.
Yeah, where does the dread come from? And what can these stories, written over a century ago, still tell us about fear and the unknown?
Okay, sounds like a plan. Where do we start?
Okay, let's unpack this first chilling thread. There's this one figure who stands out. Someone who feels like they, stalk through your nightmares.
Right.
Appearing in different tales, maybe under different names, always leaving ruin in her wake. The sources call her Annette, but also Isabella Ribera.
Yes. The woman with the oily eyes. That description immediately grabs you, doesn't it? Her uncanny presence.
Oily eyes. And then even more chillingly, basilisk eyes.
Basilisk eyes. I mean, the implication is she could practically harm you just by looking.
Terrifying.
Exactly. And it's contrasted with this deceptive, silvery voice. But then look at the description of her actual face. Harsh, horribly cruel.
So there's this, immediate dissonance. Pleasant voice, brutal core.
It signals something fundamentally unsettling. This isn't just your average villain.
And her background sounds just as disturbing. Described as an unnatural child.
Yes, and one who found an infinite amount of enjoyment in tales of horror and bloodshed.
Wow. That detail alone really sets her apart.
It really does. It paints a picture of someone perhaps, predisposed to cruelty from a young age. Her history continues this dark path, escaping guardians, joining gypsies.
Right, I remember reading that.
Gaining a dominating influence, even becoming queen of a tribe. And then there's the mysterious death of her first husband.
Yes, with a strange blue mark on his neck.
That blue mark, it seems to follow her, doesn't it? Like a recurring signature.
It really does. The sources list her aliases. Isabella Ribera, Madame Taguio.
And Tayu was acquitted, right. Lack of evidence, always slipping away.
Always. Then Miss Anna Clarkson, linked to a death in Florida, and Isabel Rodino.
Who had to leave Rome after another mysterious death, again with that telltale bluish puncture on the neck.
It's a pattern. Death, specific mark, her presence nearby.
It links these seemingly disparate events, but we get our most detailed look at her as Annette in the Jack Redcar story.
Right, with Jack's wife, Maud.
Yes. Maud starts off perfectly happy, then is suddenly overwhelmed by distress, convinced a malignant fiend is involved.
And Annette actually visits Maud. That scene, it's pure psychological horror.
Totally. Maud feels paralyzed, trapped, as Annette interacts with her baby, fixing those basilisk eyes on him.
The power she holds over people is just chillingly effective.
And Annette's words to Maud are deliberately cruel. A cold command. Keep a watchful guard over your husband.
Just designed to inflict maximum fear and suspicion. It's psychological warfare.
Absolutely. Then the narrator, Dr. Peter Haslar, a medical man, gets involved.
He follows Jack and Annette somewhere really remote, didn't he? Podes, in Spain.
Right. Deep in the Asturian Pyrenees. An incredibly remote, cold town. A bizarre choice of location, especially in winter.
And he confronts them.
He does, which leads to this violent reaction from Jack, injuring the narrator.
But being a doctor, his mind immediately jumps to a specific kind of threat, right?
Yes, he suspects slow poisoning. He notes Jack's symptoms languor, which is the strange weakness or fatigue.
Okay.
A stinging throat, a slow pulse. He identifies them as characteristic of vegetable poisons.
Vegetable poisons. So it's something he specifically recognized from his training.
Exactly. Suggesting Annette is administering this slow, insidious dose, perhaps to make the death look natural.
And the remote location plays into that.
The sources imply it was entirely strategic. As a native of Spain, she could easily explain an invalid husband, maybe succumbing to the harsh climate, makes the death easier to cover up.
Wow.
Her fiendish cunning and damnable discrimination in choosing both victims and circumstances are really emphasized.
So if we pull together all these snippets about her, the eyes, the voice, the background, the aliases, that blue mark, the manipulation, the suspected poisoning, what picture really emerges?
Yeah.
Is she just a remarkably skilled, incredibly cruel criminal using poison and influence? Or does Donovan hint at something, I don't know, more, something profoundly evil, maybe even supernatural, behind those oily eyes?
That's the million-dollar question these fragments raise, isn't it? Donovan doesn't explicitly say she's a demon or anything.
No.
But the constant escape from justice, the recurring unnatural death mark, the sheer psychological terror she instills pushes the boundaries of normal human capability. It suggests a force that feels almost preternatural, a malignant fiend in a very real sense for those unlucky enough to cross her path.
Okay, so we've seen how Donovan builds terror around this single chilling figure. But often in these tales, the horror isn't just tied to a person. It seems to sort of soak into the very places where terrible things happen.
Yes, the haunted locations. And that's where the sources give us some incredibly vivid, really sensory details of dread that feel rooted in the physical world.
Like the corpse light, the ruined mill.
Exactly. The narrator's experience there is terrifying, but what's interesting is it feels validated because he shares that terror with his horse, Princess.
Oh, the animal senses it too. That's such a classic horror trope, isn't it? Really makes you believe something genuinely uncanny is happening.
It does, and he feels it physically describes receiving a cold and clammy blow, but the bizarre core of the event is the corpse becoming visible.
In an unearthly light, it says, rising up.
Right. And it's not just visual, he hears it, specifically gurgling streams of blood. That sound detail is incredibly visceral.
Ugh. And the place itself seems to transform.
Yes, the mill glows with this phosphorescent light, becomes transparent, showing a sight that took my breath away. The whole experience is so overwhelming, it leads to the narrator losing consciousness.
Finds profound relief only when he's away from that spot. But the story doesn't end there, does it? He goes back.
He has to. He returns with companions, Goodyear and his man. Even in daylight, the mill just feels wrong, described as ghoul-haunted, a place where evil spirits might dwell.
And they're drawn to search.
Yes, not by logic, but by this unexplained feeling, a sense that something is there.
And the supernatural vision leads directly to a grim physical discovery.
They find a sack, and the narrator's description focuses on the physical sensation, touching it with his foot, realizing from touch and sound that it's definitely not grain.
He says something like, there's something dreadful in that sack.
Precisely. So the ghostly manifestation wasn't just a random scare. It was a revelation, pointing directly to a buried crime, a hidden body.
Okay, now let's look at another haunted spot, Bleak Hill Castle.
Ah, yes. We learn it has this history steeped in wrong and shame and death. And there are rumors, local legends, about the mysterious disappearance of a wife and her epileptic daughter.
So that history, those unanswered questions, fueled the local belief that the castle was haunted.
Strongly. It had a real reputation.
And the narrator doesn't just hear the rumors. He has a deeply personal, terrifying experience there himself.
He does. He describes a vision of crime, calls it a merciless, pitiless, damnable murder.
And the vision felt incredibly long.
Yeah, like hours, years, and eternity, though perhaps it was actually brief. You know, those heightened moments of perception.
Yeah.
But crucially, the ghostly figure in his vision makes a specific gesture.
It points upward.
Exactly, a small physical detail.
And that prompts a real-world investigation inside the castle.
Yes. Following that clue from the vision, they search the garrets. They find a section of wall that sounds hollow.
Oh.
And when they break it open, a sickening odor emerges, causes everyone present, even the host, Dick, who's trying to play it cool but is visibly nervous, to shudder.
The implication being?
The discovery of remains, moldering bones hidden within the wall, directly confirming the vision's link to a past gruesome crime.
So, looking at these examples, the mill, the castle,
Yeah.
what's the key insight into how Donovan uses these haunted places? It's not just jump scares.
No, definitely not. What's powerful here is that the supernatural isn't just some ephemeral apparition, you know? The glowing corpse, the pointing ghost, they are inextricably tied to a physical, often gruesome reality.
A hidden body, the sack containing something awful.
Right. The horror isn't just psychological fear of a ghost. It's the fear of the past crime, the physical violence that the supernatural forces seem compelled to reveal. It grounds the terror in something very tangible, very disturbing.
It makes the fear more concrete somehow. Suggests the past isn't just memory. It's buried, maybe literally waiting to be discovered. And the uncanny is the force that unearths it.
Well put.
Okay, moving from places haunted by past deeds, let's dive into stories that bring in a sense of fate, curses, or powers that feel almost beyond human understanding.
Right.
Whether they're truly supernatural or just a form of profound, maybe malevolent influence.
This is where we see characters who seem subject to forces or individuals manipulating their destinies. Take Alfred Cornell in The Red Lily.
Ah, him. He's portrayed not just as potentially evil, but as having this extraordinary power or influence over Lily.
Yeah, the sources describe her feeling she could grovel at his feet at his mere bidding, this dreadful feeling that even impacted her physical health.
It's this psychological grip that feels almost supernatural, doesn't it? Especially contrasted with her planned, very conventional marriage to Dick Fenton.
Totally. And then there's that weird incident in the Bay of Biscay where Cornell apparently saves Fenton from drowning.
Right. It adds this layer of complexity. Is he purely antagonistic, or is there some twisted dynamic?
It's ambiguous, but Lily's subsequent fragile health and delayed marriage really hint at the deep, lasting trauma and influence Cornell exerted, whatever its source.
Now, for something that leans much more explicitly into the supernatural, the Brazilian vision murder.
Yes. We meet Juliet, described with beauty, a passion for orchids, an adventurous spirit.
But her fate seems dictated by this prophecy or curse from an ignorant old crone.
And the curse is specific and dire doom if she marries a foreigner, leading to a sudden and awful death.
A foreigner, okay? And supernatural signs appear right as the narrator proposes to her. That seems significant.
Very. We hear about a distinct sigh, seemingly from nowhere, then a vision so terrifying it causes Juliet to scream and faint.
Wow.
And later, they both hear this unmistakable laugh that struck their hearts and brains. These aren't subtle omens, they're overt, chilling confirmations that the curse is active.
And tragically, the curse seems fulfilled in a really brutal way.
Juliet and her servant are found murdered. Stabbed. The sources emphasize, not bitten.
Despite the snake.
Yes, the bizarre detail is the crushed coral snake placed between their bodies. But the cause of death was stabbing. And despite huge efforts, rewards offered, the crime remains unsolved.
So the narrator seeks answers from a figure who might understand these dark events. Anita, the witch woman.
Right. And she's described with a deliberately repulsive appearance. Ugly, repulsive, devilish.
But she has power.
Apparently. She shows the narrator a vision of the crime scene, the murder, the snake, decay, even a vulture. A vision identical to what the local guide, Torquato, also witnessed independently.
Okay, so her power isn't just some trick of the mind playing on the narrator. She shows something verifiable, something others have seen.
Exactly, which makes it much harder to dismiss. The sources discuss theories for her power, mesmeric or hypnotic ability.
Like mind control.
Sort of, or second sight, seeing things beyond normal perception, or maybe she just got details from wandering Indians who saw something.
Plausible deniability.
Right. But the local belief, and perhaps the implication Donovan leans towards, is an unholy alliance with dark forces. It leaves the question open. Are these powers uncanny but natural, or overtly diabolical?
Finally, we touch on the astrologer story. This one seems to blend inherited fate with a mysterious, manipulative figure.
Yes, the Divinoni family. They carry this curse of insanity. Into this doomed family history steps a mysterious astrologer.
Claims to read the stars.
Right, and offers Lady Hilda advice on saving her nephew, Reginald, from this family curse.
But interacting with him brings its own tragedy, doesn't it?
It does. Lady Hilda is later found poisoned, and her death is explicitly linked to her interactions with this astrologer, who seemed to gain significant influence over her.
The story then jumps ahead, right, to Reginald Divinoni as this tyrannical mayor and introduces Willibald the Piper.
Willibald the Piper. Another mysterious figure who seems to wield a form of magic. His pipe makes people dance uncontrollably.
He uses it to achieve his goals, like getting Reginald's daughter for his foster son.
Exactly, a sort of magical coercion.
And the climax is, well, it's truly gothic, almost theatrical.
It really is. After Willibald's death, he makes a ghostly return. Playing his pipe, he compels the dead in the churchyard to dance.
Seriously. Dancing dead.
Dancing dead. And then leads this horrifying procession of the dead right to the wedding house to disrupt the marriage. It's a direct physical intrusion of the supernatural, tied explicitly to a family curse and this figure with seemingly magical abilities.
Wow. These stories really lean into the idea that characters are just not entirely in control,
Right.
subject to destiny, curses, powerful, maybe supernatural influences.
They absolutely do, whether it's the uncanny psychological influence of Cornell or Juliet's fate seemingly sealed by a curse confirmed by supernatural signs, or the astrologer and the ghostly Piper tied to inherited curses.
Right.
The sources present a world where potent external forces can manipulate or just outright determine your path.
Thinking about these different types being subject to a curse or prophecy or someone's eerie, irresistible influence, how does that compare terror-wise to encountering a physical ghost?
That's a great question. It taps into a different kind of primal fear, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The fear of losing your agency, of being powerless against something preordained or someone else's manipulative will. That feeling of being trapped by fate or influence can be just as, maybe even more unsettling than seeing a visible specter. It's insidious.
Okay. So we've taken quite a deep dive into the sources you provided, stepping back into the chilling world of Dick Donovan's Tales of Terror from 1899.
We definitely covered some ground.
We've seen how he crafts horror by blending, very human cruelty and psychological manipulation with moments that really suggest genuine supernatural phenomena.
From uncanny villains like Annette Isabella,
Right, the woman with the oily eyes.
to haunted places where the dead leave tangible evidence, to stories steeped in curses, prophecies, and ghostly manifestations tied to dark histories and potent influences.
These tales, written over a century ago, clearly resonated.
Hmm.
And I think they tapped into these timeless human fears.
Definitely. The fear of evil in human form, the fear of the unknown that lingers in places in history, and perhaps most profoundly, that fear that we are not truly free agents.
That maybe we're subject to unseen forces or predetermined fates.
Exactly. It's unsettling stuff, even now.
You provided the map with these sources, and we hope this deep dive helped illuminate some of the most compelling and yet chilling corners of Dick Donovan's Tales of Terror.
Thank you again for sharing your sources for this deep dive. It was a fascinating, sometimes pretty unsettling journey into the horror of a bygone era.
So as you reflect on these different forms of terror we've touched on from the sources, the psychologically manipulative villain, the physically manifesting ghost, the chilling prophecy or curse, the uncanny influence, which type of horror do you think is the most effective at getting under your skin? What truly haunts you after hearing about these snippets?